if you have a specific concern about communication or something that's happening, please reach out, and we're happy to talk about that, but not necessarily in this format. We want to make sure that we're respecting everyone's educational rights to privacy. So just to want to make sure that we say that as we go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I did review the goals, but you can see that, and maybe a lot of you guys have had these Zoom meetings as of late, but if anybody has any questions about Zoom or how to use some of the features, we can kind of review that. One of the things that we'll do is if you do have a question, you can use the hand raising feature in this, or also the chat is a good place to put that information in there. And if you're not familiar with where those are, Sam, do you mind just showing them quickly?
So on the bottom of your Zoom screen there, if you go down to the bottom and hover with your mouse, you should see options that allow you to mute, unmute yourself, show your video, hide your video, but then towards the middle, you should see a button that says participants. And if you click on that button, participants, it should open a list of people in the video chat, and then also should open your ability to access the chat window. And there should be a chat button right there as well.
Yep. There's also the raise hand feature is there too in that participants list. Pretty handy. So like if I click it, I don't know, can you see it, Sam? Okay.
Yep.
Great. So I'll put my hand down because I don't need to do that, I guess, at this point. And we're also recording this session just so that everybody knows too, just so that people can, we'll post this so that people can see the questions and answers that we're giving. We're going to try to make this, something that we do on a regular basis, especially as we, enter after vacation, and get down to some of the senior activities and different pieces that are there. So, we'll go ahead, once we've got that Zoom piece taken care of, we'll jump into the agenda. But does anybody have any questions in regards to the Zoom features or how it all works?
We do have someone with the hand up. So, okay. Galaxy S9 Plus, forgive me because I don't know who that is.
I think that's Karen.
Yeah, and you can also rename yourself too. Being my first year in the district, I don't recognize everybody by face. So if you hover over your tile, there should be 3 dots that pop up in the top right-hand corner. And you should be able to rename yourself so that we see everybody's name if that's helpful. But yeah, Karen, I'm going to lower your hand and you are unmuted. So if you want to ask your question, you can go right ahead.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I guess my question is I know that with Grace working the kind of schedule that she's working in the hospital right now, she might not always be able to attend the Zoom class. Is she able to go back and look at a class at a later time?
Yeah, so it's an excellent question, Karen, and I know it's one that Grace had reached out to us about. And so what we've advised is essentially for her to basically keep in touch with her teachers. I mean, obviously, I know, Grace is not the only one in this situation. We have a lot of kiddos who are working right now, which my hat's off to them, because they may be supporting their family. Obviously, a lot of them are essential workers, whether in grocery stores or convenience stores or, on the front lines as far as working in nursing homes or in hospitals. There is, a time that they can't meet. We're just asking that they let their teachers know and that they follow up with an email of some sorts, and then the teacher will give them that information that they had missed. So that's kind of the guidance I know that we've been kind of pushing out to our teachers. So, if there's anybody, in particular, and Karen, I appreciate you asking the question, but if there's anybody in that situation, that same situation that Grace is in, please know that we are understanding and flexible in how they're accessing their information for classes.
All right, I really appreciate that.
Of course. Of course. How about food service? Any questions about food service this morning or feedback in regards to food service? Okay, no issues with that. Just if people have access to food service, we really appreciate obviously the hard work of the bus drivers and kitchen workers at this time, and any volunteers that are there. So we appreciate that. How about communication? Any questions about communication, feedback in regards to communication from the high school specifically to you guys?
So, Selena's got her hand up. I'm not sure if it was in regard to communication. So Selena,
Sure.
I'll lower your hand and unmute you and go ahead.
Okay. So actually, I'm kind of, when you asked the question, I kind of veered off a little mentally. So it might not be exactly what you're saying, but Emily has asked, I should have said her name. Sorry. My student has asked her AP teachers about the pass fail. Is it going to be the same for AP students as it is for regular courses? Is it still just pass fail? How do you make sure you're getting that credit, and how does that test work? Like, how does she go about asking, if you don't know the answer to that question, how does she go about asking the teacher and getting that feedback? I mean, I guess that she hasn't gotten that question asked or answered.
Answered, yeah. So yeah, it would be the same as far as the AP class is concerned, pass fail. With that being said, it would be on the transcript as an AP course. So they would still get credit for taking the course and passing the course. So that wouldn't count against them. They would also still earn credit for that course. So nothing changes in there. The question about the test, the AP tests have gone completely to online, and it's going to be a 45-minute test that the kids can use their notes on, which is a bit unheard of. So they'll be accessing that test during the testing windows that they have set forth for the class. And that's something that our guidance department will be communicating with the teachers, and the teachers will be communicating with the students when that will be happening.
So she won't miss something, like it's not going to like all of a sudden come upon her. She's going to have advanced knowledge.
Yes, and I would say also that many of the AP courses right now are in the mode of just prepping for the tests. I mean, they usually happen in the beginning of May. So that's really where the stance is just making sure that they're not necessarily covering new information at this point in time, because it's going to be, the tests are going to be based on, where, I would say like 3/4 of the school year, where they've gotten through, and then the test will reflect that. So it's all about taking the time to just refresh their memories on maybe some of the work that they covered earlier, and just prepare for the test. And again, that's a 45-minute online test that's going to be happening.
This actually might help some others too with the same course. We have a chaotic house. Like, we have got 5 kiddos, so it's not just her. Should I get her a different location, like for that test, so that way she's doesn't got little siblings running in and interrupting, or her autistic sister isn't like making noise in the background, that sort of thing?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously those tests, have some pretty good heft to them in the sense of what they can mean for students as they move forward into colleges. I mean, a lot of the college courses will count them for prerequisite classes. So, any, kind of like, solitary place that you might be able to get her, situated so that she can take the test, at least just for the 45 minutes, I think would definitely benefit her. Yeah.
We have another location where they're taking their dance classes, so we'll just send her away. Awesome.
That's great. Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. It's a good one.
Did that answer your question, Selena?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and then Will had a question, so we'll bounce up to you, Will.
Go for it, Will.
Hey, just a couple of, I guess, housekeeping-ish questions. April vacation, I assume, is it staying just regular April vacation? Will there be work assigned that week? I honestly probably could have just looked at the calendar, and I didn't on the red white day. Just curious about April vacation plans. And then if we're not able to return to the physical building this year for classes, will there be an opportunity, or is it in the works to figure out a way for students to pop in and pick up a few belongings that may be, as Maddox says, hidden in various classrooms throughout the school, so he doesn't have to carry them to and from particular classrooms?
Yeah. So great question. So yes, April vacation will happen as it normally does for this year. So there will be no classes offered during that time. there actually won't be any food service happening during that time either. So just so that people are aware. And yes, we've had the same question about pickup of items. And so the district is developing protocols for that. And as soon as we have those protocols, we'll let you know that what the process will be. It should be pretty straightforward. Even yesterday I was on a conference call with a parent and a student, just, supporting them really about getting some work taken care of. And they realized that the notebook that they needed for the class was still in the high school. So that's something that I'm going to go over and pick up today and drop it off at their house. I told them to leave it outside for, 24 hours if they could. And just, that way they have their work. So it's not just your concern, Will. We've had several parents and students reach out. So that's what we're waiting for, is just those protocols.
Good deal.
Yeah, and then it is on the agenda for tomorrow for our administrative team meeting. So I anticipate that we'll have that plan at least kind of formed up tomorrow and consistent across the district and schools, so it's not confusing for parents with multiple students in different buildings.
I have an 11 o'clock call, so I'm going to leave this meeting, but thank you all for everything you're doing. Appreciate it. Doing a great job.
For jumping in.
Thank you, Will.
We're pleased at
you
our
being here.
house, but thank you for everything.
Yep. Thank you very much. Appreciate the feedback.
Take care, everyone.
This is Brenda, to piggyback on housekeeping questions. And this is a very, very forward-thinking question, but there's reasons behind it that I won't go into detail. They're more in our household. If we continue with the remote learning or not, what consideration is taking place on when school ends? And I know you all can chuckle about what I'm talking about when school wraps up, but I'm just trying to determine if we're going to be going past a certain time frame. What will that look like is really kind of my question. In how much of a summer will the folks have?
Yeah, it's a great question, Brenda. I appreciate you asking that. So obviously we have graduation scheduled for June 8th, and so seniors would be done typically the week prior, if I remember correctly. Thank you, Jen, for nodding your head. But the week prior to that would be when seniors would be done. And then I think, if I can remember correctly, we're looking at a June 17th last day for the remainder of the high school. So freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. With that being said, there has not been discussion, Brenda, about like abbreviating the school year at this point in time. Like, let's say that everybody finishes on June 8th or something along those lines. There haven't been discussions at the district level of that, notion. But right now, that's where I feel comfortable at least saying for seniors. And I think, Jen, you put that date, which was May 29th, that would be their last day, if everything goes to plan. And then for the remainder of the school district, it would be June 17th. If I remember correctly.
Okay. All right. So there's no changes with that. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah. So I was just going to click over to or if you don't, Sam, do you mind just bumping it back up to the top?
Yep.
Just so
Karen
I can see what
has a question as well. And then I'm going to finish typing in for that last response, and then I'll go up to the top. Okay.
Yeah.
So Karen, if you want to unmute yourself, I'll lower your hand and you can ask your question.
Hi there. So I basically had the same question. I didn't know if we were going to be applying any time to the end of the June 29th projected date for seniors to be done or not. Just trying to wrap my head around everybody's new schedules and lifestyle, if you will.
Yeah, so May 29th is I think what you were going to say. You said June 29th, but May 29th.
Oh, yeah, sorry, right.
Yeah, no, that's fine, no worries. So May 29th, no, I mean, at this point in time, there's been no discussion about changing any of that at this point.
Okay, and I know, I'm just going to throw this out just because I have one middle schooler, but June 17th is our projected end date for the rest of the district.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, like I said, I just wanted to reiterate that. I just want to make sure that I have everybody's schedules. I'm trying really hard to to operate a household that Grace is third shift and the rest of us are day people. And so I'm over here whispering.
Yeah, don't wake her up. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no worries. I would say too that, like, as far as communication is concerned, just so that everybody knows, I mean, we're doing daily morning announcements that are being sent out to everyone, all the students through their email, but also posted on Facebook and our YouTube channel. So we're trying to update daily things that are happening, for us here at Oak Hill High School in some semblance of normalcy. I know that, there are a number of different ways you communicate with teachers, and teachers are communicating with students and parents, and that's through Google Classrooms, whether it's a Zoom meeting like this or Google Hangouts, even phone calls, like just from kiddos that we're not necessarily hearing from. Both Mrs. Garnett, Sias, and I are calling homes. So just to make sure that people are tuned into what's happening, because we don't want to lose anybody in the process. So we're trying our best with the communication piece. And, again, if you're feeling like you're not hearing something or have questions in regards to something specific, just feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to get the information to you as soon as we can.
I think Claudia had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so Claudia, I'll unmute you.
Oh, hello. Well, I just want to know, since I just heard that that there will not be April credit recovery. I just want to know if there will be summer school offered, or what will be the possibilities for him to recover a class in case he doesn't pass.
Yeah, that's a great question, Claudia. So right now, and it's funny, I did say that April vacation would be just April vacation, and my guess is that we would not run our regularly scheduled vacation school. I may have to give a little bit of thought to that, that the possibility of that happening virtually, if people wanted to do it, and how we might log teachers' hours. So let me give some thought to that, Claudia, and I can get you an answer to that. But as far as summer school is concerned, like, we're still in a holding pattern for that. So I'm not 100% sure what we're going to be able to offer at this point in time for credit recovery purposes. Obviously, again, just trying to be super flexible with every student's situation and get them what they need in order to pass classes for this semester. So I'll probably have to get back to you on that because I don't have a specific answer.
And Jen,
Thank you. And also, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Claudia.
Oh, okay. Also for services, I know maybe this is not something that I should be asking right now, but for some services that my kid was supposed to get, and maybe those services are on hold now.
So if we're speaking about a specific service, Claudia.
Breaking. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. No
I
problem.
can email you
whatsoever.
privately about that, Claudia. I think I know what you're referring
Thank
to.
you.
I can email you privately for sure.
All right.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah, no worries whatsoever. And just so people know, in regards to that service aspect of things, so if your student needs support by any of our guidance department or social workers that are in the building, they are very much working with students. Both our social workers have a schedule of students that they're meeting with virtually or on the telephone on a regular basis. But I would put the plug out there if any student, especially with this stressful situation that's going on, is experiencing any kind of difficulty, please feel free to reach out to us and we can connect you with a social worker or guidance counselor to help through any situation. And we've had several parents and students reach out just so that students and parents are not alone in this situation. It's difficult on everybody, so we're happy to hook them up with additional services if need be. I think, Sam, unless there was another question, because I can't see hands being raised. So
Jen, I think, wanted to respond in part to Claudia's question, I think. So if you want to unmute yourself, and then we do have one other parent question.
Great.
I just wanted to address kind of the credit recovery side of things. I think we're not at the point where that's like the first thing that we're thinking of right now, but in general, at least the English department, since we have such a high rate of, you know, recovery and failure, and a lot of that ends up going through me, systems will be put in place to support students. If it can't be done this year, then we will figure out how to get that managed for them for the following year. And this year we have, you know, credit recovery classes that have been put into place. So if summer school isn't going to be in session, Jack and I will probably, Mr. Carney and I will probably be working together to develop some resources and systems in place for students to meet those expectations in the following semester, in the fall semester. So that is kind of, it's not something that we've currently discussed, but it will be something that moving forward we're, you know, discussing, and it's in all of our brains as well. So when, you know, when we've had more time to discuss and see what the rest of this school year will look like, that communication will go out through administration to you guys.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jen. I appreciate the added information. That's great.
And Jean, you had your hand up and then I think you lowered it. Do you still have a question? Oh, hey.
I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
That's why I raised the hand.
Hi,
It wasn't
Autumn.
Graham. We're good.
Nice.
How's who's the cat there?
This is Mowgli. He's my
Okay.
cat.
Very nice.
And that's where he sits every chance he can. Okay.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm muting it again. All right.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate that. That's good. Any questions about connectivity? And I say that just in the sense, like, again, maybe this is part of communication, but I think you're thinking also, Sam, if I'm correct here, with internet or, you know, telephone communication. Is that correct?
Yeah, just any logistical issues that we need to be aware of, because I'll just reiterate, Mr. Aliberti and I are not alone in the administrative team when we say that we want to make sure that we are addressing obstacles and hurdles that students are facing right now as best we can. But, you know, not being in session every day, not seeing everybody every day, like it's really hard to kind of put our thumb on the issues and see what's going on. So if you have any feedback from a home perspective about how it's been for, you know, our transition to this distance learning, we really want to hear it and we really want to take the time to address it.
So the next topic on there is feedback on schedules of teacher or accessibility, and just any questions about getting a hold of teachers or communicating with teachers at this time. Happy to answer any questions that might be there. Not so much. Again, it's one of those deals. If you're having trouble communicating with a teacher, or if you feel like you're not understanding what the expectation is, again, just either reach out to that specific teacher, or feel free to contact us and we can help coordinate in any way possible.
Yeah, and Selena, you have another question, so I'll go ahead and lower your hand. You can unmute yourself. Hang on, let me see. There.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I just want to say, actually, this is really helpful. And I found that the district has been ahead of some of the other districts. A lot of my peers that have kids in other districts, I've been really impressed how quickly you guys have responded to stuff and got things out there and stuff. I was wondering if there's a format like this for the students, because I feel like there's more questions that Emily could be asking that I don't know. Like, she wrote down the questions I was asking you. And I feel like she would know when she doesn't, like, she's a very independent person anyway. Most of my kids are, because I've got the autistic daughter who kind of takes my focal point. And so my kids have learned to kind of advocate for themselves and take care of a lot of this stuff themselves. And so I just feel like they would have more feedback, whether they're, you know, struggling with something or having a hard time reaching out to someone. Is there a way that they can have these types of sessions with the principal and yourself, like, so that way they can ask these troubleshooting questions and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful suggestion. I appreciate that, Selena. We actually have our first senior forum tomorrow afternoon. Sam, remind me, is that 3:30 tomorrow?
Yes, 3:30. So I'm trying to find just in case any of you have senior students, trying to pull it up so you can see. Here you go. Can everybody see that on their screen, the invitation that we sent to seniors?
Yes.
So
3 to 4.
we actually received that feedback in our first parent forum on Tuesday afternoon, and that was really helpful, and our mind was kind of already there. Some specifically senior concerns came up from that parent group on Tuesday. And so I think we're starting with a forum specifically for that group, just because I'm sure they have a lot of different concerns that the underclassmen might not share, different
Obviously,
topics
yes.
of interest. So, but I think you're right. And I think that's, connecting with students like that and getting their feedback and getting their opinion on how things are going and what we could do differently to best support them is really important. I think that's a void that we've been feeling, Mr. Aliberti and I think when I think of people who are in education, we don't get into it, no offense intended, because we love spending our days with adults all the time. We really miss this. We really miss connecting with them and that amazing energy that they bring to our school culture. So I think you're right. And I think we'll be intentional about that moving forward. I don't want to speak for you, Marco, but if you agree, I think we'll probably start putting steps into place to have.
I just feel like she'll skip a lot of the stuff of me having to write notes. I just think she'd get even more. I appreciate this huge, and I'm going to continue to pop in when you guys have these meetings, but I just think she's going to get tenfold out of it because she knows what she's missing and what she's, questions that she hasn't even thought of yet that you guys, spark. She'll be able to, bring those out. I don't have anything new to bring to the table.
Yep, and I think that swings both ways too. I think we'll get tenfold out of connecting with the students too and hearing it right from their mouths, like what's their experience been like so far, for sure.
Do you know if the middle school is going to be doing something like this as well? Because I've got 2 middle schoolers, and this is so helpful for Emily, but again, she's already so independent. The middle schoolers could use way more of this.
I can write that down.
Sure, yeah,
great.
we can pass it along, absolutely. Yeah, I'd also like to say too, as Sam said, the seniors right now, our hearts go out to them just because it's such a rite of passage, and they've earned, this, wonderful opportunity to be recognized by the community for their hard work through 13 years of education. And it's definitely going to look different. There's no two ways about it. My fingers are crossed that we're going to be able to do something live and in person, if some restrictions are lifted. But I was even on a conference call prior to this one with Androscoggin County principals, and they're talking about, different ways that they can do graduation ceremony, prom, things of that nature. And so, I think we'll start with seniors, but I appreciate the suggestion about meeting with the other grade levels too, because I think that they would be, it would be helpful for us to push the message, as what the expectations are, and then hear from them in regards to what concerns they may have. So I appreciate that suggestion.
And I'm not sure if everyone was following the chat, but Ms. Chick also mentioned we have this great conduit of connectivity and messaging with our teachers too. So often our teachers are hearing things from students and they're passing that right along to us so that we can be responsive as well. So, knowing that we have, near 400 students and not everybody's going to be able to attend if we pick a particular time slot. If students do have questions or concerns and they aren't able to attend, our virtual sessions that we put in place, they can certainly either send those directly to administration or they can talk with their teachers and they'll forward along those concerns.
And she knows where this is located, like this, whatever this forum that you're talking about, she knows how to access that already?
So we haven't sent any, or we haven't made any plans for underclassmen forums yet. So we, after Tuesday's parent forum, we scheduled and then created an invite for the first senior student forum. So as soon as that was scheduled and the invitation was made, it was emailed out to students in the senior class. We posted it on the RSU4 parent page and our Facebook page. And asked senior teachers to share it by posting it in their Google Classroom. So just trying to hit every avenue of, communication for our students, with the exception of Snapchat, which I think we should probably consider creating a high school Snapchat account because that's what they're all on. Right. But yeah, as soon as we do have things scheduled and plans in place, then we'll communicate that out in a similar fashion to underclassmen students. But I mean, welcome your feedback and would pick your brain right now as a group of parents, like, you know, would it be appropriate in your eyes to, you know,
100%. They're already using it
class?
anyway. Yeah,
Huh?
I would. I say Snapchat absolutely, because I don't know how to use it, but I know that they're already on there. So if they've got some positive influences or they're using it in a positive way, I'm all for that. I got to go. They're actually telling me to take over with the autistic sister and the little sibling because they got to get ready for school. So I'm going to check out. But thank you guys so much for everything.
Chatting with you.
Yep. Thank you, Selena. Yeah, so that's a good point. I'm not super familiar with Snapchat myself, so I guess I would have to learn how to use it in order to.
Maybe the students could host a tutorial for us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That.
Here's how to use Snapchat, not like an idiot.
How about like, do's and don'ts of Snapchat? Yeah. Ask Stubbs to do it. Yeah, exactly, Jen. You're right. How about, because Sam, I'm sorry if there is another topic there that we have not covered, but I'm curious if there are any other like kind of open questions that people may have. We talked about connectivity and schedule of teacher accessibility, but if there were any other topics of conversation that people have that you may be curious about, I mean, feel free to ask, you know, any question that would be totally helpful. Yes, we could ask OHL leaders to run the
That's
Snapchat.
a great idea.
Yeah.
So you know what, Carrie, I know we were kind of joking about that, but I'm actually going to put that in the communication because I feel like that's a digital platform that my generation is like all set. But you're right, like a majority of our students are on there. And I think Mr. Aliberti and I have been talking about this for a few days, like, you know, what are some things that we could offer for opportunities for our student leaders to engage and become a part of this, you know, maintaining school community and connectivity. And I think that would be a great project for them. So I'm going to pop that into our communication. Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. How about other questions? And just so you know, like our hope here is that we'll continue with these meetings. And I say this, you know, especially after our meeting with the seniors on Friday. I know that there are a few senior parents on this chat right now, but you know, we want to start making some plans for what, you know, graduation is going to look like, what prom is going to look like, senior assembly is going to look like, yearbook assembly is going to look like. I mean, there are a lot of pieces here that we have to take into consideration. And try to make it as special and I just you know, again, feel for the seniors here, just as special as possible for them during this unprecedented time.
Yeah, and so, Carrie has her hand up. You have
go for
something to add for that, Carrie?
Sure.
I did have a question around the yearbook, just how that was going to work. I know that they work on the yearbook a lot during school time. After school, they have meetings, and they're able to, you know, put pictures and stuff into the yearbook. So I did have a question about that, especially, you know, for the seniors being their senior yearbook. But in addition to that question, just really some feedback. The morning announcements have been wonderful. I know my daughters enjoyed watching them and seeing all of her teachers doing sort of funny, crazy things. And, you know, they miss the craziness from the teachers in the hallways. So they're able to still see that and really enjoy that. And the communication that she's received from her teachers has just been wonderful. She had missed some school for a pre-scheduled vacation right before this happened, unfortunately. But she has had just amazing communication from her teachers trying to get, you know, that work made up. She was able to do that. And the feedback has just been wonderful from her. So just a huge thank you to all of the teachers and what they're doing right now. I know it's like very crazy working from your house trying to teach teenagers that way. But to have good feedback from a teenager is very positive.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
I'll
really
share that with the
appreciate
staff.
that, Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they get that message. Thank you. In regards to the yearbook, it's funny. I just had a conversation yesterday with Jeremy Young, who's the yearbook advisor, and he and I were just talking about this, doing some sort of pre-recorded yearbook dedication ceremony. And then we talked about how we would distribute yearbooks. And we thought that, you know, at least, you know, preliminary would be some sort of like drive-through service where we would hand out yearbooks that way. The other piece that you talked about in regards to pictures, we are starting to probe the OHLA group just in regards to putting on potentially like a spirit week. I mean, we kind of missed out on our spring fling week, which would have been last week, and our dance and such, but doing some sort of like spirit days and then having kids submit either short videos or still photos of like, you know, those dress up days, and then putting that information into the yearbook itself. The other thing, which was super, I mean, was a really great idea from Jeremy, and not that I'm surprised by this at all, but potentially doing some either photo essays about the impact of this pandemic. So like, for instance, he had a young lady reach out and wanted to do some writing in regards to a prom dress that she bought, but isn't going to be able to wear to the prom, and then having that included in the yearbook. You know, just as kind of in memory as time goes on here of the impact of this situation. So know that we are having those conversations about, you know, how we're going to, you know, continue to make the yearbook a robust, you know, really set of memories for our kids. And then, you know, obviously that distribution piece. So we're definitely in talks for it. I wouldn't say that it's finalized at this point in time, but we're definitely getting close to it, Carrie. How about other questions? Does anybody else have any other thoughts or questions at this time? No. All right. Oh, wait. Is Karen talking right now, or what is she doing? Or is she just doing some hand signals?
Like she was talking to somebody else in her household.
Oh, is that what she's? No worries. Listen, just more than anything else, you know, for both Sam and I, just appreciate you guys taking the time to have a conversation with us during the day. You know, we'll continue to have these meetings just because we find them super beneficial. I mean, it's just nice to see people. I think that's probably number one, to see you guys, and just to be able to get the feedback, you know, is excellent, because as Sam said earlier, it's just the information that you provide to us turns into some ideas or action that it's just going to better support our school community. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's nice to see all of you, but please communicate to your students how much we miss seeing them, and, you know, hope things are going well for them. And, you know, Mr. Aliberti and I are on Zoom calls often throughout the day, but it's always a super nice break when we get a communication from a student, or like have a chance to video chat with a student. So, you know, we're thinking of them, you know, just miss them dearly for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll let you know when we do this next, when we have another parent forum. And again, just keep the communication rolling, just because we don't have one of these scheduled for the near future. You know, feel free to reach out in any way possible, and we'll do what we can to help support. All right, I think that's it.
Nice to see you all. Have a great day.
Nice to see everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Stay healthy, stay well.
Yeah, take care. Thank you very much, guys.